pivot and get rich quick in 2021. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to look at an article from news.com.au which they're pushing as get rich quick in 2021, or how to get rich. So this is written by economist John Murphy. Job types and qualifications in demand in Australia and how to get a pay rise. There's one type of qualification that is in hot demand, and for anyone willing to take a leap of faith, it could make them a lot richer, everyone. Could make you a lot richer. Let's have a look at a few things before we go through this, and we're going to finish up by looking at examples from viewers, how they've just pivoted and changed career throughout their lives. And there's some really interesting stories actually that have come out from people. So first, job adverts, unemployment, and good news. So we can see unemployment has crashed down to 5.6% according to ABS. Similar with the Roy Morgan data as well, it's now down to 11.4%. Now, there's a discrepancy between the two data types because of the methodology that the ABS uses and Roy Morgan uses in just getting the figures. But it's the trend that we want to look at. It's heading down, okay? So that means there's confidence returning to business. People are probably just getting their jobs back, or they're not. Some businesses may be taking people on. Underemployment is still at 7.6%, which is, well, frankly, it's gone down for the last few months. But that's still a big issue. And this is the one here that we need to watch, the combined underemployment and unemployment. Okay? Now, we are hearing again and again about job vacancies. People can't find workers. And it's a kind of a mixed bag. You'll have workers who don't want to work for terrible conditions, don't want to work for dodgy money, don't want to work for farmers who insist that you stay on their property and have all these other costs siphoned off you. And there's some people who, well, rightfully so, don't feel like they should bother working the extra hours because of the poverty trap that can be welfare. If your emergency support measures are too generous, it can create this situation where, well, low-skilled jobs just aren't worth doing. Who would work 30 to 40 hours a week if you only walk away with another $100 in your pocket? That's the problem. And it slowly devolves into UBI. We also have job adverts. They're recovering. Everyone, they've shot up again. They're recovering. They're heading back towards normal levels. Okay? And the good news that's coming out that we've got world steel production is up. We can see here it's tracking up, everyone. Boom. And building approvals, they've surged up, at least for houses. Home builder has had the effect that the government intended it to have, to spur economic activity. They don't care about house prices, everyone. They just want to keep people in jobs. They don't want to see a whole lot of jobs destroyed. That's all they're worried about. Sure, you'll get your free money that we'll have to pay back in taxes anyway, and it'll probably overheat the market. At least the good thing is they've extended the time frame for these contracts. That's encouraging. So it's not going to overheat as much. I'm hoping some people will, push out their work a little bit. Okay. So get rich quick in 2021. And that's how news.com.au was advertising this article. Everyone, let's have a look at this one. So we can see here all the different types of certificates and qualifications. That's a bachelor at the top, I think. So how to get rich in 2021. We're not talking about Bitcoin. Clearly not Dogecoin or Dogecoin? Dogecoin. Sounds classier, doesn't it? And you realize it's because I bought $9 worth of Dogecoin when I was flipping some of my LBC just for a bit of a laugh. That's why it's all crashed. I'm sorry, everyone. I did it. I finally bought some just to crash it so I could talk about it on YouTube. To create articles. Some people believe that when they instantly buy, that's when it crashes. There's some confirmation bias there. Anyway. And we're not talking about flipping real estate either. Well, Jason, what are you talking about? This is the heart of Australia's economy. It's flipping houses. That's all you do. There's something much more common, but also something find really hard. Changing jobs. And, I mean, we'll see some of the stories that people have shared with us of changing jobs, changing careers. You might have thought the tail end of a pandemic is a bad time to change jobs, and I can see the logic, but logic has been blown out the water by the latest data. Employers are desperate for staff. The federal government's official vacancies report just came out and shows that the number of jobs without a person to fill them has risen to its highest level since 2008, before the GFC. Now here's the question, everyone. I'm thinking a lot of people may have had a chance to reflect for the first time over the last year, to actually step off the treadmill, to step back and to look at their life and to question if they're happy with the path they're going down. Maybe they've actually gotten to know their family and realize this constant just chasing isn't worth it. It doesn't. Well, I would argue that the most important factor one could have in life to being happy is just reduce stress. It's not about money. It's about reduced stress. If you have more control over your freedom, if you've got enough financial buffers just to make sure, if an emergency arises, you'll be fine and you know it, then that stress just peters away. And that's worth more than, you'd be surprised how much money that's worth if you haven't experienced. And I'm sure everyone who's gone through that and realized that can share that story. So the labor market is ravenous for workers, making it a great time to look for a job. Now, hopefully that will translate into increased wages. The number of empty jobs is up across all places, all skill levels, and almost all industries. Australia is seeking unusually high numbers of new workers. Demand is crazy, strong for veterinarians. Okay. House cleaners, baristas, and psychologists, for example. The barista thing, that's really, there is a skill to it, but you can train yourself up to be a barista pretty quick. I thought it was quite funny because I've got my little semi-commercial coffee machine here. I've become real cheap, so I'm living off instant now. But back in our office, all the staff would learn how to make a nice cappuccino there. So when we had a client, they could serve them a barista-style coffee. You get the fresh beans, and the worrying thing was they could probably earn more money as a barista than they could as an architectural student drafting for someone. But, there you go. But the problem is, I'm just not a coffee snob anymore, guys. I've grown out of it. I'm now a middle-aged dad. I like my $1 7-Eleven coffees. The next graph shows the kind of workers demand is strongest for. If you have a bachelor's degree, you're in the sweet spot. No, well, it depends on what your bachelor is in, okay? It depends on what your actual degree is in. If you've got some generalist degree that's useless, well, there's not going to be any demand for it. If you have a certificate 1 or 3, good news, you're also in hot demand. Certificate 2. What is a certificate 2? I didn't even understand. Okay. Certificate 1 is secondary education. Okay. Changing jobs is good. Frightening, but like many leaps into the unknown, good for you. There are 2 key pieces of evidence for this. The first one is that people who change jobs make more money than people who stay put. You make more money if you're not loyal to your employer. Well, yeah, that's the harsh reality of it. It's a exchange. Is loyalty even a thing anymore? You've got to look out for yourself, and employers understand that, and they have to sweeten the deal to keep their staff. We used to train a lot of people. A lot of people would give their first professional jobs, and what's frustrating but completely understandable is that you get them good, and then they'd go somewhere else, and other firms could offer them double what we'd pay them. And greater opportunities. And you've got to be happy for people for that. This is true even when you control for the fact that people who change jobs might be better employees than those who stay put. The evidence for this goes back to a seminal US study in the early 1990s and applies across countries. The effect is strong enough that you can even see evidence of it in the national wage data. The Treasury observed that when people change jobs more, average national wages rise faster. Job shifters get the biggest benefit, but some of those wage rises flow over to the other workers who stay put too, perhaps because their employers are worried about losing them. Well, this isn't... Okay, changing jobs isn't what's driving wages up. Wages are going up is what's driving the change in jobs, okay? Because there's more demand. If you're working for somewhere and you're happy, but someone offers you like a 30% pay rise, you're going to seriously consider it. If it's flat out, and you flat out you work in an architectural practice, and then a builder offers you a design management role, you're going to consider it if it's a significant pay jump. That's what happens in a hot labor market. In Australia, job switching also appears to be an important source of wage growth for some individuals. As noted earlier, those who switch jobs in a given year typically experience higher wage growth than those who stay, Treasury said in 2019. Well, it's a chance to negotiate a pay rise. I mean, how many of you have had to change jobs to get a pay rise? I remember back when I was a student studying, it was hot times to be an architectural student here in Brisbane. So, you change jobs to build up your experience stack and your wages. Now, I'm not saying you should quit your job without another one lined up. Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty well, I'm assuming that's obvious. Let me know if that's obvious. Unemployment is still high and there's competition for these jobs. There's a risk of ending up stuck unemployed for a while. But if you leave your job, it will open up that job, and maybe it will be filled by an unemployed job seeker. Money can't buy me love. But this is not just about money, it's also about living a better life. Do you ever find yourself watching the clock at work? I mean, everyone does sometimes, but you start watching the clock in the morning. And do you feel crushing gloom on Sunday night? If you're bored or unhappy at work, you should almost certainly change. Crack open your preferred job advertisement website and see what your options are. You might be surprised how many avenues are out there, and the research says it could make you much happier. Well, change is as good as a holiday. And I mean, here, Jason's talking about changing jobs. The question I ask is people changing careers. So one thing to change from one job to another in the same industry. What about people who've actually made drastic changes in their careers? Increasing your education skill level so you can get another job. We saw that in my own family with my sister-in-law working at the airport. She did a childcare certificate years ago that she never used. She worked in some childcare agencies and she didn't really like it. Well, no, childcare centres. She didn't really like it because you're just lost in the crowd. She much prefers to help families on an individual level, particularly with children that have a high needs. So for her to jump in and to get that job, she was fortunate enough that she had that qualification already there, because that would have cost her another $1,000 and all these other things just to change careers. So there's a cost associated with it. So an academic study run in America recruited 25 people who were struggling with an important life change and asked them to flip a coin. If they got heads, they're stuck with what they were already doing. If they got tails, they were told to change. For important decisions, quitting a job or ending a relationship, individuals who are told by the coin toss to make a change are more likely to make a change, more satisfied with their decision, and happier 6 months later than those whose coin toss instructed maintaining status quo. This finding suggests that people may be excessively cautious when facing life-changing choices, the paper said. If your job sucks, you don't have to stay in it. Remember, not all jobs are bad. And even if your new job sucks, it might do so in interesting ways that help you learn something. All in all, change is likely to do you good. So, I mean, some interesting insights there into, quickly getting rich. Well, this is one way to build up your wages, because we constantly hear complaints about wage growth stagnating. If you want wage growth, you have to get out there and get it and demand it. I doubt you're going to get it sitting on your ass in the same business. I was paid much more than the minimum wage as an architectural student because there was demand in the market, and I changed jobs. That was it, everyone. You've got to step up and do it. So I wonder how many people don't have complaining, don't actually have the agency to put the initiative in. Because that's kind of one thing I advocate for, is personal agency. So there's how to get rich. I wouldn't say get rich quick, but how to slowly build your income stream. Now, another suggestion would be, another thing to consider is that this is all to do with government to the rescue in one way or to another, destroying opportunities. Innovation and regulation are inversely related. If you have a look at this study, the more regulation these countries have, the less innovative their economies are, the less incentive there is to create jobs, create opportunities. This is a similar thing with the gatekeeping in different industries, different sectors. What if you wanted to change jobs but you didn't have the qualifications? So you've got to jump through all these hoops. I know we're often calling for education, but that usually involves what most people worryingly think that's called for is government intervention and regulation, and then more jumping through needless government hoops, when you can learn a lot online. I've got to pay money to upgrade my white card now to renew it again. That's more money I've got to pay. For what? It's a bit of a joke. Now, professional protectionism is an issue, and I am in a profession that is protected. I'm a registered architect in the state of Queensland, and I think I was in other states, but we haven't done work in those other states for a while, so I haven't bothered paying for it. Now, to do that, I've had to study 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Built Environment in Architectural Studies, and then a Bachelor of Architecture with honours. Now that's a degree inflated to a master's, so they're charging them more. Then I have to do 2 years minimum of postgraduate study, sit a registration exam, submit a logbook of my work, and undertake a panel interview to pass. And when I pass all of those things, I can legally call myself an architect. And then I can, put my little shingle up and provide architectural services to others. Architect is a protected term. Not everyone can call themselves an architect. Not everyone can say it's architecturally designed. We have a duty of care to the public. And, well, the title's protected, everyone. If people don't use it, if they cheat it, they're fined. Very rarely, because the board doesn't do much. I think it doesn't really have the funds to hunt it down. But there are expectations that I have to do continuing professional development and those type of things to maintain my registration and pay fees and maintain a certain level of insurance. It differs in state to state, but this is gatekeeping. This is protectionism for the profession. Okay, from a federal or state level. And they want to try and get it uniform across all the different states, but then you wouldn't need so many bureaucrats, would you? Is this necessary? Is it worth doing? Is it just protectionism to protect those already in the profession? There's the question. Should we get rid of it? Would it be better? Because what would happen is if you got rid of it, then it would actually give an incentive for the professional bodies to provide something of value. So everyone could say they're an architect, but you'd have to say, like, I'm a institute registered architect or a board certified architect or our own version of CPA. So the market dictates what is the qualification, what is the standard, not the bureaucrats. And you could, as a person, you could pick to get a registered architect or a freelance or non-registered architect. But right now, there's a fine if you use the term and you don't. And I mean, that's one example. But regulations, they destroy opportunities. They destroy chances for people to change jobs. We spoke about childcare, all the hoops you need to jump through for that. And it's because people are worried and they're scared. They respond to these stories in the media. Hairdressing, everyone. Just the regulations involved in that, in being a hairdresser. These are trades. But do we need the government to regulate it? What do you need to start a hairdressing business, a little one at your house? And then the problem is the Karens and the neighbors are going to start dobbing you in. There are going to be all these council regulations, all of these other issues. It destroys opportunities. It destroys potential for people to improve their quality of life or to change jobs. So these are all these impediments, these gatekeeper issues. And you've got the minimum wage. It's the same thing, everyone. Don't think, minimum wage doesn't have a price to pay. It means there's a dead weight loss. So this is a demand supply. So supply here, demand curve. This is a quantity of labor and this is the price. Here in a normal economy, that is the minimum wage that would be set by the market. Now the government comes in, sets it at this level here. That means this many people want jobs, but only this many people, businesses can afford to hire them. So there's that many people who can't work, but there's also this many people, the dead weight loss, that would have a job if the market was allowed to correct. So this is why you're always going to have some level of unemployment, particularly when you intervene in the market. And this also means that some people aren't going to be able to perform at this level. They're not going to be good enough. They're not going to have the skills to perform at the minimum wage level. So how are they going to get those skills to get their first job? They're not. So let's have a look at this viewer poll, and I'm going to have a shot of coffee. So I asked all of you, have you ever, and this was 9 hours ago, so it's changed a tiny little bit, have you ever changed your career? Please let us know how it worked out in the comments. So 14% said yes, I improved my education. 30% said yes, I pivoted into a new field. 10%, yes, my side hustle became my full-time job or business. 3% said yes, it was necessary for motherhood or becoming a carer. And Rachel asked me to put that one in. And 43, no one career in their whole life. So that was 9 hours ago. This is 12 hours ago, and I will just refresh this so we can see some of the comments and the stats 13, yeah, they've slightly more have pivoted into a new field, but pretty much the same. So let's have a look at some of the comments that you've said here, because there's some interesting stories that people have gone through in changing careers, just seeing in this. And let's get rid of my tender drawings there. So, in my 30s, I left my truck driving career and did an electrical engineering degree. Many people told me it was too late to go to uni. I've had a great career since then. It's never too late. Well, there you go. Going from a truckie to an electrical engineer in his 30s by Aussie Sam. And I can understand why people think it's too late to go back and study, but you're also more mature. You're not going to waste time partying and doing all the other stuff, guys. So Brad Kendrick left the casino industry to go to uni to do finance and economics. Now I manage my assets. Anyone can learn the skills to beat the bastards at their own game. Ned Kelly. I had trouble committing more than 3 years in anything. I got bored and want to learn new skills. I'm always hungry for knowledge and hungry to learn new things. Next, I'm going to be doing rebuilds on gearboxes and differentials for trucks and heavy haulage. I don't like to stagnate. Change is as good as a holiday. So Ned is the example here of people changing their jobs. Barry, career, what a waste of time. Well, mate, that's kind of sad. Some of us, kind of have to work. Scarlett Fox, from kindergarten kindergarten teacher to translator to software engineer. Well, there you go. Maybe you can teach me how to speak English. That'll be good. Software engineer. Victor, I'm still working in my full-time construction. Added on a side hustle selling goods on eBay and Facebook. I mean, that's the thing, creating another side bit of income. You don't want to have just one source of income, guys. You want to have a diversity of money coming in, because if something goes wrong, at least you got something else coming in. It's part of the reason why I'm trying to create a little $100 a month. Take my pocket money, turn it into $100 a month of passive dividend income. So that's just coming in. I mean, $100 isn't much, but $100 can buy you enough food. If you really have to, you can use that to buy some potatoes to really get by. It helps. Everything helps. Perpetual grin. Signalman in the railroad to nurse. Working with men then working with women was the biggest change. Yeah, I can see that being a big change. Mr. Makura. About 16 years ago went from print design to construction. Self-employed 10 years now and slowly building up a portfolio of artisanal works. Ideally, I'd be doing more workshop pieces as I get my show together slowly. Looked into a side hustle reselling imported materials. Might come to something, but is simmering on the back burner. Always scoping for an opportunity to fit in with what I'm already doing. So more about diversifying than a hard pivot these days. Some tools I've acquired have several applications. Practicing glass polishing at the moment. It's a good learning, but wouldn't do it full time. So, Excelmus 73. Groundsman, to fitter and machinist, to steel worker, to linesman, to coal miner, to train builder, to salesman, to project manager, to business owner, to firefighter. Well, you got some stories there, mate. Connor. Studied and started my career as a jazz musician, but it didn't pay the bills, so changed to a labourer in an attempt to train as a carpenter, but GFC hit, so went to door-to-door sales selling electricity to recruitment. Now run my own small recruitment business in Sydney, born in Ireland. Been a bumpy but thoroughly enjoyable ride so far. I mean, notice the thing here, you're seeing a lot of people are going with the flow. Connor, he's got agency there. There you go. You know what it is. It's the Guinness or Kilkenny. That's what it is. Yeah. I remember I took Rachel on our first date, and I said, "Oh, you got to try Guinness. It's really good." She pretended to like it. Hasn't had one since. That's probably why I like the black coffee. Maybe should be drinking Guinness every morning I'm recording. So Sam was in retail for 25 years, then moved into manufacturing. So Fanatic, spray painter to civil engineer. Best thing I ever did for myself and the family. There you go. Well, Bloody oath, mate. With all the health issues, potentially being exposed to the spray paint, yeah. Echo, echo. I often thought if there was a fast track for non-medical professionals into medicine, that would be good. Well, that's a similar thing to academia, where there's not really a fast track to people who just want to teach at a higher level. They want to, combine with the researchers. So there's suggestions bringing that in. That's interesting. Trojan the dog. When kids were born, we started a business and worked from home. Saxon Steel. Worked in lumber. Well, shouldn't you be working in steel, mate? Worked in lumber yards for 2 years. Moved onto shipping receiver loading trailers for 3 years. Then became a cabinet assembler and machine operator for 10 years. And now I've been a licensed auto tech for 30 years. Always worked in real physical type jobs. Still working at 62 as an auto tech. John thinks it's a great question. Lewis. I can never stick to one field. I know it's good and stunts my earning capacity. Well, not according to what we're hearing here, but maybe it depends if you're restarting again and again. But I get so damn bored doing the same shit year after year. Well, I think a lot of people can probably relate to you in this thing. SGT Music. Did my traineeship in property management. Worked up to senior property manager. Long hours, low pay, then went back to uni and became a property valuer. So Steve, left roofing after 12 years, wanted to help people and have consistent work. Finished Cert 3 in individual support, now doing Cert 4 in mental health, starting a diploma in August. So Steve is going from a trade to a care role, pretty much I'm assuming, in the support industry. I don't blame you, mate, for getting off the roof. So, Dry. Lost about 95% of my gigs as a drummer. We're seeing a trend here with them. We've had 2 posts about musicians and both of them are having it tough. But I have 3 other side hustles and compensate by picking up extra work with them. See, that's the thing about having multiple income streams here. I mean, you've got to do it, guys. Even something that's tiny and insignificant, you don't know what it could turn into. Christoph, I did a teaching degree and now I'm an accountant. I'm thinking about going back into teaching, but I'm not 100% sure. You know what you need to do? You need to do a course, an online course, start a YouTube channel about teaching people accounting techniques to get around taxes. All legal and legit. That'd probably go really well, to be honest. Yes, I'm very happy with my choice. So 729ers has changed. Sonia, I couldn't think of something more boring than doing the same thing for my whole life, but respect those who really enjoy doing it. And someone's replied. Barry 100% agrees. Paz, become a gigolo and look after a large fish tank. Mate, that's good on you if you can handle that. Steve, hydroponics to real estate. So far so good. Thanks, Team Heise. What sort of good food you grow? All as long as it's financially viable. Well, there you go. I think there's a YouTuber here in Brisbane who turns like his whole garden into aquaponics. Rachel loves watching it. I'm kind of scared she wants to do that to our place. So Zoranus, got sick of being in retail, was presented with an opportunity to do a course in health administration. After I finished, got a job at a hospital, a few weeks before the pandemic hit. Never been busier or happier. There you go. Alphonse, transitioned from retail and hospitality to IT back in 2000. Best move ever, especially now I can work from anywhere in the world as long as I have a laptop and a good internet and get paid great money. George, it's really hard, but at least there isn't any regrets on being stuck doing something you don't want to do. So, I mean, it's right. It's not easy. Changing a career is not easy. But, I mean, nothing worthwhile in life is easy, is it? I mean, come on. So, Jai was a burger flipper, a Hungry Jack's first job, to managing licensed venues inside the airport, to apprentice chef, to console attendant at a fuel station, and then management at said fuel station. So I think Jai, the next one, is going to be owner of a fuel station, a petrol station franchise, and buy a couple of them. I think that's the journey you're going on there. So Scotty Dog, real estate to selling solar panels, to uni at mature age, to SEO, search engineering, and GIS developer. So a few people have gone back to uni at mature age. This is the thing, uni, you'll get some people who'll say uni isn't worth it, but it is depending on what you do. If you find something that's useful. And probably, honestly, going and being a mature age student isn't the silliest thing to do. I mean, because you're not wasting time. GVD. I changed from motor mechanic to accountant and then moved into finance. Best move of my life, and I still love having the trade skills. Well, you kind of get the best of both worlds there. I mean, honestly, that's one thing I'd probably steer my kids to, is actually getting a trade. They're getting a trade and having a backup. Or even, for the girls, if you want to have a family, go to uni later in life. Or realize what you're doing. Don't kind of get to 35, 40 and realize it's too late, which is kind of sad. So, and another person doesn't know what a career is. It's an ancient thing from previous generations. So guys, those are your votes and the viewer inputs. Thank you all very much. It was interesting to hear your suggestions. Please, if you want to add to it, go ahead. So, some solutions from all of this. Now, what I would suggest is we need to create special economic regions to reduce the level of government intervention into the economy, because people changing jobs, changing careers is often limited by government regulation, government coming to the rescue, professional protectionism, legislation, rules, paperwork, and hoops you have to jump through just to get a job. Even minimum wage will lock some people out from getting their first foot on the rung. Because what you do, if you, I mean, there people be complaining and whinging, oh, you want people to work for even less, I earn hardly anything. Well, get another bloody job then if you don't. Change jobs, change careers, improve your skills. I see it all the time, people complaining, oh, fruit, such and such politician said fruit pickers should only work for $1.25 an hour, ha ha ha. If you're that crap that you're only able to pick $1.25 worth of fruit, I think you got some other problems. Maybe you're not physically suited to that job. You need to look into a different career. I mean, come on. Are people really that stupid nowadays? I know it's just the media, just the clicks, and people like to dogpile on the opposition team. They treat politics like a footy team, to be honest. They don't really think about it much. Probably I'd bet the average Aussie would spend more time worrying about the footy than politics. You reckon? So, I mean, this would be the suggestion. Let's experiment. Let's open up some parts of the country. Let's see how it could work. Don't get me wrong. I'm in a protected industry. There's safeguards here for me. But also with that comes less opportunities. Interior designers can specify products and get a commission for everything they specify. I can't legally do that. Bet you didn't know that. Anyway, there's a suggestion. What do you reckon? Do you think it'll ever happen? Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for sharing your comments and answering my polls. I really appreciated it. And good to see all the people there that have, pivoted, shifted, changed careers throughout their life. For those of you that are considering it, I mean, it's going to be tough, but you never know where it can lead. As always, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can sign up for SelfWealth, where we'll each get 5 free share trades, or fund an account at stake, where we can get a free share over in America. You can support us by buying our merch. We have pocket squares for sale on our blog, using Teespring to get the mugs and those type of things, or by using Gold Pass or PayPal. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.